My name is Sophia, and I thought I knew what betrayal looked like. I was wrong. What happened to me wasn't just betrayal, it was the unveiling of a masterpiece 20 years in the making. It started on what should have been a quiet Tuesday morning in October. I was in my kitchen, the one I had lovingly decorated with small touches over our 8 years of marriage. The herb garden by the window, the handmade pottery we bought on our honeymoon, the family photos scattered across the refrigerator door. I was making Marcus's favorite breakfast, scrambled eggs with chives, toast cut diagonally, and coffee exactly the way he liked it. 2 sugars, a splash of cream. Marcus came downstairs wearing his navy suit, the expensive one I had surprised him with last Christmas. He looked handsome as always, his dark hair perfectly styled, his cologne filling the kitchen with that familiar scent of cedar and vanilla. But something was different. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Morning, honey," I said, setting his plate on the table with the same gentle smile I had given him every morning for years. "I was thinking we could have dinner at Romano's tonight. It has been a while since we need to talk, Sophia." The words hit the air like ice. I had heard that tone before. Cold, distant, final. It was the same tone he used during business calls, when he was about to fire someone. My hands stopped moving, the coffee pot suspended mid-pour. "Talk?" I asked, forcing lightness into my voice. "About what?" Marcus sat down heavily, his fingers drumming against the wooden table, a nervous habit I had noticed but never questioned. He stared at his untouched breakfast, then finally looked up at me. His dark eyes, the same ones that used to look at me with warmth and desire, were now empty stranger's eyes. "I want a divorce." The coffee pot slipped from my hand, it crashed to the floor, sending ceramic shards and hot coffee across the tiles I had mopped just the night before. The sound echoed in the sudden silence, but I barely heard it. All I could hear was the word divorces repeating in my head like a broken record. "What?" I whispered. Marcus didn't even flinch at the crash. He just sat there, watching me with those empty eyes. "You heard me, Sophia. I want a divorce. I've already spoken to my lawyer." "Your lawyer?" The words came out strangled. "Marcus, what are you talking about? We're happy." "We know, we're not." He cut me off with surgical precision. "We haven't been happy for years. You just refuse to see it." I sank into the chair across from him, my legs suddenly unable to support me. "I don't understand. Last week you said you loved me. Last month we talked about having kids, you said. I said what you wanted to hear." His voice was matter of fact, like he was discussing the weather. "But I am tired of pretending, Sophia. I am tired of this charade." Charade. The word felt foreign in my mouth. "Our marriage is a charade." He finally looked directly at me, and what I saw in his face made my blood run cold. It wasn't just indifference, it was contempt. "Come on, Sophia. Look at yourself. Look at your life. You haven't worked in 3 years, you spend your days. What, cooking, cleaning, watching those ridiculous cooking shows. You've become exactly what I was afraid you'd become." Each word was a knife, twisting deeper with every syllable. I had quit my job as a marketing coordinator because Marcus said he wanted me to focus on our home, our future family. He had encouraged it, celebrated it even. We had toasted to new chapters and traditional values. "You asked me to quit my job," I said weakly. "You said, I said a lot of things." He stood up, straightening his tie with practiced efficiency. "People change their minds, Sophia. People grow. I've grown, you haven't." He walked past me toward the door, stepping over the broken coffee pot without a second glance. "My lawyer will be in touch. I suggest you get one too." "Marcus, wait." I scrambled to my feet, following him. "Please, we can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can." He spun around so fast, I nearly collided with him. "There is someone else, Sophia." The world stopped, everything, the ticking of the kitchen clock, the hum of the refrigerator, the sound of morning traffic outside, everything went silent. "What?" I said. "There is someone else, someone who understands me, someone who challenges me intellectually, someone who has her own career, her own goals, her own life." I felt like I was falling, even though my feet were firmly on the ground. "Who?" Marcus smiled then, and it was the cruelest thing I had ever seen. "Victoria. Victoria, my best friend since childhood, my maid of honor." The woman who had held my hand through my father's death, who had celebrated every milestone with me, who had been at our house just last weekend, laughing and sharing wine while Marcus was supposedly working late. Victoria? The name came out as a gasp. She is everything you are not, Sophia. Ambitious, successful, beautiful. We've been together for 6 months. 6 months, while I was planning our anniversary trip, while I was researching fertility treatments because we had been trying for a baby, while I was being the perfect wife to a man who was already gone. Get out. The words surprised me with their strength. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Excuse me, I said. Get out. Get out of my house. Our house, he corrected, which we'll need to discuss during the divorce proceedings, along with all our other assets. He walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and Sophia, don't expect this to be amicable. My lawyer is very thorough. The door closed behind him with a soft click that somehow sounded louder than if he had slammed it. I stood there in my kitchen surrounded by the broken pieces of the coffee pot, wearing the silk pajamas Marcus had given me for our anniversary, feeling smaller than I ever had in my life. I don't remember the next hour. I think I sat on the kitchen floor, staring at the mess of coffee and ceramic. I think I cried, but I can't be sure. Everything felt distant and unreal, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. The phone rang around 9:30. I almost didn't answer it, but some automatic part of my brain made me pick up Sophia. It was Victoria's voice, sweet and concerned. Honey, are you okay? You sound terrible. Victoria, I couldn't manage anything else. I know. Marcus told me he talked to you this morning. Oh, sweetie, I am so sorry you had to find out this way. She knew, I knew, and she was calling me. The audacity of it was breathtaking. How long? I asked. Oh, honey. Her voice was dripping with false sympathy. Does it really matter? What matters is that Marcus is happy now. He has been so miserable for so long. And I hung up. The phone rang again immediately, then again. I unplugged it from the wall. The next few days passed in a blur. Marcus didn't come home. I learned from his lawyer that he was staying with Victoria in her downtown loft. The same loft where I had helped her move in 2 years ago, where we had painted walls and assembled furniture like the best friends we supposedly were. His lawyer was brutal. Martin Hendricks, a sharp-suited shark who specialized in high-net-worth divorces. He made it clear that Marcus wanted everything: the house, the savings, his business, even my grandmother's jewelry that I had brought into the marriage. Your client contributed nothing financially to this marriage, Hendricks told my hastily acquired lawyer, Janet Mills. During our first meeting, she hasn't worked in 3 years. She has no income, no assets of her own. My client is being generous in offering her the car and $30,000 as a settlement. Generous? Janet's voice was sharp. Mrs. Patterson gave up her career to support her husband. She managed their household, entertained his clients, contributed in countless ways, none of which have monetary value. Hendricks interrupted smoothly. The law is quite clear about marital assets and contributions. I sat there listening to them discuss my worth, like I was a piece of furniture being appraised. $30,000 for 8 years of marriage, for the career I gave up, for the children we never had because Marcus kept saying not yet, not yet. The worst part was that Marcus was right about one thing: I had no fight in me. I had become so dependent, so diminished, that I couldn't even imagine how to rebuild my life. I agreed to their terms. The divorce was finalized on a gray February morning. I sat in the courtroom wearing a black dress that had once been Marcus's favorite, watching as our marriage was legally dissolved in less than 10 minutes. Marcus wasn't even there. He was in the Maldives with Victoria, celebrating their new beginning according to her Instagram posts. I moved into a small apartment across town, taking only my clothes and a few personal items. The furniture, the art, even the dishes we had picked out together, everything stayed with the house that was now Marcus's alone. The car he had so generously let me keep broke down 2 weeks later. The repair cost more than I had in my checking account. I was living on cereal and ramen noodles, applying for entry-level jobs despite my years of experience, trying to figure out how to rebuild a life at 34 when I had no recent work history, no references who weren't connected to Marcus, and no confidence left. That is when Victoria called again. Sophia. Oh my God, I heard about your car. Are you okay? Do you need anything? The sound of her voice made me physically nauseous. What do you want, Victoria? I want to help. I know things are awkward between us, but we were friends for so long. I hate that Marcus and I falling in love has caused this rift. Falling in love, like it was some beautiful, inevitable thing instead of a calculated betrayal. I am fine. I lied. No, you are not. Listen, I know you probably hate me right now, but I do hate you. The words surprised me with their venom. I hate you both. There was a pause. Then, Victoria's voice changed, became cooler. I understand you are hurt, Sophia, but Marcus and I didn't plan this. Sometimes these things just happen, and honestly, maybe it is better this way. You and Marcus weren't right for each other. You must have known that deep down. We were married for 8 years. And how many of those years were actually happy? Really happy? I couldn't answer, because she was right and we both knew it. The last few years of my marriage had been quiet desperation disguised as contentment. Sophia, I am trying to be your friend here. I know you are struggling financially. How do you know that? Marcus mentioned. Anyway, I have a proposition. I need someone to clean my loft. I am working so much, and with Marcus there now, I could pay you well. Cash, no questions asked. The silence stretched between us while I processed what she was offering. My former best friend wanted to hire me as her maid, to clean the home she now shared with my ex-husband. Are you insane? I finally asked. I am trying to help you. The pay would be good, $200 a week just for a few hours on Saturdays. Think about it. Okays? She hung up before I could tell her where to shove her job offer. But that night, lying in my empty apartment with an eviction notice on my counter and $17 in my wallet, I thought about it. $200 a week would keep me afloat until I found something better. It was humiliating, but it was survival. I called her back the next morning. Victoria, it is Sophia. About that cleaning job. Oh, wonderful. Her voice was bright with triumph. Can you start this Saturday? So began the most humiliating chapter of my life. Every Saturday morning, I took 2 buses across town to Victoria's luxury loft in the Arts District. I cleaned the bathroom where she and Marcus showered together, made the bed where they slept, dusted the photos of them looking happy and successful. Victoria was always sweet to me, with that particular brand of false kindness that was somehow worse than outright cruelty. She would offer me coffee, using the expensive machine Marcus had given her for Christmas, and ask about my job search, with exactly the right amount of concern and condescension. Any luck with applications this week, Sophia? I am sure something will come up soon. You just have to stay positive. Marcus was usually gone during my cleaning sessions, which was probably for the best. The few times our paths crossed, he would nod politely and call me Mrs. Patterson, as if we were strangers, as if he hadn't once whispered my name in the dark, as if we hadn't once planned a future together. But Victoria seemed to relish those moments when we were both there. She would loop her arm through his and smile at me with fake sympathy. Sophia's doing such a good job with the apartment, isn't she, darling? So thorough. I endured it for 3 months. 3 months of swallowing my pride, of pretending I was fine, of cleaning up after the woman who had stolen my life and the man who had thrown me away. Then came the Saturday that changed everything. I was cleaning Victoria's home office when I noticed her computer was still on. The screensaver rotating through photos of her and Marcus in tropical locations I couldn't afford to visit. I was dusting around the keyboard when a notification popped up. A calendar reminder for something called Project Sophia Final Phase. Project Sophia. My blood ran cold. I looked around, making sure Victoria was still in the shower where I'd left her, then clicked on the notification. What I saw made the world tilt on its axis. It was a detailed timeline spanning 20 years. 20 years of planning, of strategic moves, of careful manipulation, and every single entry was about me, or Marcus, or both of us. Phase 1 years, 1 to 5, establish trust with target Sophia Peterson, become indispensable friend and confidante. Monitor relationship with Marcus Thompson. Phase 2, years 6 to 10, subtly undermine Sophia's confidence and independence. Encourage dependency on Marcus, document relationship weaknesses. Phase 3, Years 11 to 15, begin strategic contact with Marcus through business connections, plant seeds of dissatisfaction, position myself as the ideal alternative. Phase 4, years 16 to 19, intensify emotional manipulation of both targets, encourage Sophia to quit career and become financially dependent, begin affair with Marcus, document everything for maximum impact. Phase 5, year 20, execute final phase, destroy Sophia completely. Take everything she ever had. I scrolled down, my hands shaking so badly. I could barely control the mouse. There were folders labeled Marcus Psychological Profile, Sophia Weakness Assessment, and Evidence Collection. I clicked on a folder labeled Insurance. Inside were hundreds of photos and videos. Marcus and me arguing, Marcus looking bored during my work events, Marcus flirting with other women, me looking frumpy at parties, me crying after fights, me at my most vulnerable moments, but the worst folder was labeled Childhood Revenge. Inside was a video file titled, Why I Destroyed Sophia Patterson. I clicked play, and Victoria's face filled the screen. Not the Victoria I knew. This Victoria had cold, calculating eyes and a smile that was pure malice. If you are watching this, it means I've won, she said to the camera. Let me tell you a story about justice, about patience, and about the long game. She leaned back in her chair, completely comfortable, completely in control. When I was 14 years old, Sophia Peterson and Marcus Thompson made my life hell. Oh, they probably don't even remember it. To them, I was just weird Victoria, the girl with the wrong clothes and the wrong family and the wrong everything, but I remember every moment. My blood turned to ice. High school, I barely remembered Victoria from high school. They were the golden couple even then. Perfect Sophia with her perfect boyfriend and her perfect life. And they made sure everyone knew I didn't belong. They started rumors about me. They excluded me from everything. They made me the laughing stock of the entire school. I did remember now, there had been a girl, quiet and strange, who had tried to join our friend group, Victoria something. But she had been so awkward, so desperate to fit in. And yes, we had laughed at her. We had been cruel in the casual way that teenagers are cruel, but the worst thing, the thing I never forgot, the thing that kept me awake for years, was the winter formal. Do you remember Sophia? Of course you don't. It was so insignificant to you. I remembered. Oh God, I remembered. I had finally gotten up the courage to go. I saved money from my part-time job to buy a dress, not a nice dress, not a perfect dress, but the best I could afford. And when I walked into that gymnasium, you know what you said? You looked at me and laughed and said, "Who invited the charity case?" The memory hit me like a physical blow. I had said that. I had been 17 and cruel and thoughtless, and I had said that about a girl who was just trying to belong. Everyone laughed. Victoria continued on the screen. Everyone, even Marcus, especially Marcus, and I ran home crying, and I swore that night that I would make you pay, both of you. I would take everything you ever had, everything you ever loved, and I would make you both feel as small and worthless as you made me feel. She smiled, and it was terrifying. It took 20 years. 20 years of planning, of studying you both, of making myself into exactly what Marcus wanted, and exactly what you feared. 20 years of being your best friend, earning your trust, learning all your secrets and weaknesses. 20 years of positioning myself perfectly for this moment. I couldn't breathe, this couldn't be real. People didn't plan revenge for 20 years. People didn't. The beautiful thing is that it was so easy. Marcus is exactly the same selfish, image-obsessed boy he was in high school. All I had to do was become successful, beautiful and available, and he came running. He never loved you, Sophia, he loved the idea of you, the perfect wife accessory, but you got comfortable, didn't you? You let yourself become ordinary, and Marcus hates ordinary. She leaned forward, her eyes glittering with triumph. And you, sweet Sophia, you were even easier. Still the same insecure girl who needs everyone to like her. Still the same person who gives up her power to make other people happy. I convinced you to quit your job, to become financially dependent, to isolate yourself from everyone except Marcus and me. I set up your complete destruction, and you helped me every step of the way. I was sobbing now. great gasping sobs that I couldn't control. By the time I am done with this phase, you'll have nothing, no husband, no money, no career, no self-respect. You'll be cleaning toilets for the woman who stole your life, just like I planned. And the best part, Marcus thinks this was all his idea. He has no idea he has been manipulated just as thoroughly as you have. She stood up and moved closer to the camera. This is what justice looks like, Sophia. This is what 20 years of patient planning can accomplish. You destroyed a 14-year-old girl with your casual cruelty, and now I've destroyed you with my careful calculation. We're even now. The video ended. I sat there staring at the blank screen, my entire world rewriting itself. Every memory, every moment, every decision over the past 20 years, all of it had been manipulation. Victoria hadn't been my friend. She had been my hunter, and I had been her prey. But as the shock wore off, something else began to grow inside me, something cold and sharp and absolutely furious. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. Victoria would be down soon, expecting to find me dusting her shelves like the good little victim I was supposed to be instead. She found me sitting at her desk, her computer open, my face dry and my eyes hard. Sophia, she appeared in the doorway wearing a silk robe, her hair wrapped in a towel. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked uncertain. What are you doing? I found your project files, Victoria. My voice was steady, calm, all of them. Her face went through a series of expressions: surprise, concern, calculation, and finally, that cold smile I'd seen in the video. Oh, she said. Well, that is inconvenient. She walked into the room as if she owned it, which of course she did, as if she owned me, which she thought she did. I suppose there is no point pretending any more, she continued, settling into the chair across from her desk. How much did you see? Everything. 20 years of planning, 20 years of lies. She nodded thoughtfully. And how do you feel about that, Sophia? How do I feel? I laughed, and it didn't sound like my laugh at all. It sounded dangerous. I feel like I finally understand who you really are. Who I really am. Victoria's eyebrows rose. I am the girl you destroyed in high school, Sophia. I am the victim who found a way to fight back. You are a sociopath, she shrugged. I am a planner. There is a difference. What you did to me, what you are still doing to me, it is evil, Victoria. What I did was justice. You just don't like the taste of your own medicine. I stood up slowly, my hands braced on her desk. And Marcus, what about what you did to him? Marcus got exactly what he deserved. He is a selfish, shallow man who was perfectly willing to destroy his wife for a prettier model. I just happened to be the prettier model he chose. He doesn't know, does he, about your plan? Victoria laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Of course not. Marcus thinks this was all his idea. He thinks he fell in love with me naturally, that he outgrew you organically. He has no idea he has been as manipulated as you have. You used both of us. I gave both of you exactly what you gave me: humiliation, destruction, the feeling of being worthless. Her voice hardened, and I did it so perfectly that you never saw it coming. I stared at her, this woman I had thought I knew, this stranger who had worn my best friend's face for 2 decades while planning my destruction. You know what the funny thing is, Victoria? What? You are right. I was cruel to you in high school. I was terrible, and thoughtless, and I caused you real pain. If you had just wanted an apology, if you had just wanted me to acknowledge what I'd done, I would have given you that gladly. Victoria's smile faltered slightly. But instead, you chose to become something monstrous. You chose to spend 20 years of your life focused on hatred instead of healing. You chose to destroy not just me, but Marcus too, and you turned yourself into the very thing you hated about us. I walked around the desk until I was standing directly in front of her. And now I am going to choose something different. What is that supposed to mean? I pulled out my phone, which had been recording our entire conversation. It means you made one crucial mistake in your 20-year plan, Victoria. Her face went pale. You can't. I can. And I will. See, you are so proud of your planning, but you overlook something important. Marcus might be shallow and selfish, but he is also proud. He is never going to forgive you for making him look like a fool. He'll never believe you. He'll believe the evidence, All those files you've been keeping, all those videos and photos and psychological profiles, they prove that you've been manipulating him for years, that everything he thinks he feels for you is manufactured. Victoria stood up abruptly, her composure finally cracking. Sophia, don't do this. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I understand that you've spent so long focused on revenge that you forgot the most important rule of manipulation, which is, never create evidence of your crimes. I headed toward the door, but her voice stopped me. If you expose me, you'll destroy Marcus too. His reputation, his business, everything will be ruined. I turned back to her, and for the first time in months, I felt powerful. You are absolutely right, Marcus will lose everything. His business, his reputation, his sense of self, and you know what? I don't care. He made his choice when he decided to destroy me. Now he gets to live with the consequences. And what about you? You'll still be alone. You'll still have nothing. No, Victoria. I'll have something you've never had despite all your planning. What is that? My integrity. I left her there in her expensive apartment, surrounded by all the things she had schemed and manipulated to obtain, and for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. But I wasn't done, not even close. Over the next week, I made copies of everything, every file, every video, every piece of evidence of Victoria's 20-year campaign of manipulation. I organized it all into a detailed timeline, cross-referenced and thoroughly documented. Then I called Marcus. Sophia, he sounded surprised to hear from me. Is everything okay? I need to see you, Marcus. It is about Victoria. What about her? I can't explain over the phone. Can you meet me for coffee just 1 hour? I promise you'll want to hear what I have to say. He was reluctant, but curiosity won out. We met at a neutral coffee shop downtown, the kind of generic place where we were unlikely to run into anyone we knew. Marcus looked good. Healthy and happy in the way that successful men in their 30s look, when life is going their way. He was wearing an expensive watch I didn't recognize, probably a gift from Victoria. You look well, he said, as he sat down, and I could tell he was being diplomatic. I didn't look well, the stress of the past few months had taken its toll. Marcus, I need you to look at something. I slid a tablet across the table. It is about Victoria, about your relationship with her. Sophia, I really don't think. Please, just look. He reluctantly picked up the tablet and started scrolling. I watched his face as he read through Victoria's files, as he saw the timeline, as he understood the scope of what had been done to both of us. His expression went from confusion to disbelief to fury to something that looked like nausea. This can't be real, he said finally. This is insane. Keep reading. He did, his face getting paler with each page. When he got to the video of Victoria explaining her plan, his hands started shaking. She has been planning this for 20 years. His voice was barely a whisper. Every moment, every gesture, every conversation you've had with her has been calculated to bring us to this point. He looked up at me, and for the first time since he'd asked for a divorce, I saw something real in his eyes: pain, humiliation, recognition. Oh my God, Sophia, what have I done? You've been manipulated, Marcus, just like I was. She played us against each other perfectly. But the things I said to you, the things I did, were exactly what she planned for you to say and do. He put his head in his hands. I feel sick. No, you know how I felt when I found out. We sat in silence for a few minutes while Marcus processed everything. When he finally looked up, his eyes were red-rimmed. What do we do now? That is up to you. But I thought you deserved to know the truth before you made any permanent decisions with her. Permanent decisions? I pulled out my phone and showed him Victoria's Instagram post from that morning. She was wearing a diamond ring, smiling radiantly at the camera. The caption read, "He asked, planning the perfect wedding for the perfect love story. Number engaged, number soulmate, number happily ever after." Marcus stared at the screen, his face cycling through emotions too quickly to track. She is posting our engagement before I've even officially proposed, he said quietly. Because she knows you will propose. It is all part of her plan. Jesus Christ. He ran his hands through his hair. Sophia, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for what I did to you.
I know.
Is there any chance we could try again now that I know? No, Marcus. I said it gently but firmly. What Victoria did was unforgivable, but what you did was your choice. You chose to be cruel. You chose to humiliate me. You chose to take everything from me. Those were your decisions, not hers. His face crumpled. So what happens now? Now you decide what kind of man you want to be. The kind who lets himself be manipulated into destroying innocent people, or the kind who takes responsibility for his actions and tries to make things right. How can I make this right? I destroyed your life. Sophia. Actually, you didn't. You thought you did, and so did she, but you both underestimated me. I stood up and gathered my things. Sophia, wait, what are you going to do with this information about Victoria? What do you think I should do? He was quiet for a long time, thinking. Finally, he looked up at me with something that might have been respect. I think you should destroy her the same way she destroyed us, and I think I should help you do it. Why would you help me? Because she made me into someone I don't recognize. She made me cruel and selfish and heartless, and because... He paused, struggling with the words. Because despite everything I did to you, you still cared enough to warn me. You could have let me marry her and find out the truth after it was too late. I studied his face looking for manipulation or self-interest, but all I saw was genuine remorse and something that looked like admiration. What did you have in mind? Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus and I worked together with a precision that would have made Victoria proud. We planned every detail, anticipated every possible response, prepared for every contingency. The beauty of our plan was its simplicity. Victoria had created all the evidence we needed to destroy her. We just had to make sure it reached the right people at the right time. Phase 1 was Marcus's business partners. Victoria had been slowly infiltrating his company, positioning herself as a consultant and advisor. Marcus's partners respected her, trusted her, valued her input on major decisions. When Marcus showed them the evidence of her manipulation, not just of him personally, but of his business decisions over the past year, they were horrified. She has been using inside information from your company to make stock trades, one of them pointed out after reviewing Victoria's financial records. This isn't just personal manipulation, this is securities fraud. Phase 2 was Victoria's own professional network. She had built her career on a reputation for integrity and ethical business practices. When her colleagues and clients learned that she had spent years implementing a systematic plan to destroy 2 people's lives, complete with psychological manipulation, financial fraud, and documented evidence of her sociopathic planning, her reputation evaporated overnight. Phase 3 was social media. Victoria loved Instagram, loved crafting the perfect image of her perfect life. We created a simple website called The Victoria Files and posted everything. Every document, every video, every piece of evidence of her 20-year revenge scheme. Then we shared the link. It went viral within hours, but the most devastating phase was the last one, and it was Marcus's idea. Victoria had planned the perfect engagement party. She had sent out invitations to everyone who mattered in both their professional and social circles. She had booked the most exclusive venue in the city, hired the best caterer, ordered flowers that cost more than most people's monthly salary. She had planned to announce their engagement publicly, to cement her victory in front of everyone who had ever known Sophia and Marcus as a couple. Instead, Marcus stood up in front of 200 of the city's most influential people, and told them everything. He showed Victoria's videos on the big screens she had rented for their happy moment. He read excerpts from her planning documents. He explained, in careful detail, how she had manipulated him for years, destroyed his marriage, and turned him into a weapon against his own wife. This woman, he said, gesturing to Victoria, who was standing frozen in her designer dress, her face pale with shock, spent 20 years planning to destroy 2 people because of a thoughtless comment made by teenagers. She turned revenge into an art form, and she made me her unwitting accomplice. The room was dead silent. You could hear the air conditioning humming in the background. Sophia Peterson was not a perfect person, neither am I. We were cruel to Victoria in high school, and that was wrong. But what Victoria did in response was not justice, it was evil, calculated, and unforgivable. He turned to look directly at Victoria. And now, Victoria, everyone knows exactly who you really are. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Victoria's clients dropped her. Her business partners expelled her. Her social circle evaporated. The financial fraud charges were filed within a week. But the worst part for Victoria wasn't the legal trouble or the financial ruin. The worst part was that she had finally gotten what she had always wanted, to be the center of attention, to be talked about and remembered. But for all the wrong reasons, she had become exactly what she had made me become, a cautionary tale. I didn't go to the engagement party. I didn't need to see Victoria's downfall firsthand. Instead, I spent that evening in my small apartment, packing the last of my belongings, because while Victoria and Marcus were playing out the final scene of their twisted drama, I had been building something new. The past few months of survival, of working whatever jobs I could find, of learning to live on nothing, of discovering what I was truly capable of when everything was stripped away, had taught me something important about myself. I was stronger than anyone, including me, had ever imagined. The marketing skills I thought I'd lost were still there, sharper than ever. The connections I thought I'd burned were more forgiving than I'd expected. The confidence I thought Victoria had destroyed had just been hibernating, waiting for the right moment to emerge. I had started freelancing quietly, taking on small projects, rebuilding my portfolio and my professional network. I had moved to a better apartment, bought a reliable car, opened my own business account. By the time Victoria's world was collapsing, mine was already rebuilt. The irony wasn't lost on me. Victoria had spent 20 years planning my destruction, but in the end, she had given me the greatest gift possible. She had forced me to discover who I really was beneath all the roles I had played: dutiful wife, accommodating friend, perfect victim. She had created the strong, independent, ruthless woman she had always feared I might become. 6 months later, I ran into Marcus at a coffee shop downtown, not the one where we'd met to discuss Victoria, but a new place in the arts district that I'd started frequenting. He looked terrible, hollow-eyed and thin, wearing clothes that didn't quite fit right. The glossy success he'd worn so easily was gone, replaced by something rawer and more human. "Sophia," he said, stopping at my table, "how are you?" "I am good, Marcus, really good. How are you holding up?" He laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "I am surviving, the business is recovering, slowly, the personal stuff." He shrugged. "That is going to take longer. I am sorry this happened to you." "Are you really?" I considered the question seriously. "Yes, I am. What Victoria did was wrong, regardless of what we did to her in high school, and what she did to you was just as wrong as what she did to me. But you warned me even after everything I put you through. You warned me. Because it was the right thing to do." He sat down across from me without asking, and I let him. "I keep thinking about what you said that day, about how I chose to be cruel. You were right. Victoria may have manipulated the situation, but you made your own decisions about how to treat me." "I did, and I hate who I became." He looked directly at me. "I hate that I had that person inside me all along, just waiting for the right excuse to come out. So change, become someone better." "How?" "The same way I did. Start over, figure out who you want to be, and then be that person." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, two people who had hurt each other and been hurt by each other, trying to figure out how to move forward. "Sophia," Marcus said finally, "I know I have no right to ask this, but do you think you could ever forgive me?" "I already have." His eyes widened in surprise. "Not for your sake," I clarified, "for mine. Carrying that anger was making me into someone I didn't want to be, someone like Victoria." "And do you think, is there any chance?" "No, Marcus, we can forgive each other, but we can't go back. Too much has happened, we're different people now." He nodded sadly but without surprise. "You seem happy, different, but happy." "I am happy. For the first time in years, I actually like who I am." "I am glad you deserve that." After he left, I sat there thinking about the strange journey that had brought me to this moment. Victoria's revenge had been devastating and perfect, and ultimately pointless. She had destroyed my old life so completely that I'd been forced to build a new one, a better one, a life that was truly mine. She had spent 20 years trying to make me feel as worthless as she had felt in high school, never realizing that sometimes being destroyed is the only way to discover what you are truly made of. I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app, where I'd been documenting this entire experience. Not for revenge, not for exposure, but for understanding. For closure, I scrolled to the last entry and added one final line. The best revenge isn't destruction. It is living well. Then I closed the app, finished my coffee, and walked out into the bright afternoon sunlight, ready for whatever came next. Because Victoria had taught me something valuable. Something she never intended, that the only person who gets to define your worth is you, and I had finally learned my own value. Did you like this story? Tell us in the comments which city you are listening from. If you enjoyed this dramatic tale of betrayal and redemption, please support us with a super thanks so we can continue bringing you more incredible life stories. Like this one, thank you so much for your support. We look forward to your comments about Sophia's amazing journey. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that we highly recommend. There is so much more content on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story, with love and respect. Asterisk.